Breaking news. China government react to Donald Trump USA sanction and threats over Nigerian government as Lufai Osani Abati, Rise News, drop a shocking bombshell on China support and its own interests. Gekwenuntio. And Chinese support and their own interests. Ima some people amali feneme no boda no nimia. Yes, people don't know what is happening. But tupo ya gani ilu. If I be Eastern News 24, kai sidi wena utenu ya bozi unu jaginu ubu ani akwụkwọ dịka unu ka o si ada na akpọtụ o were ya bifa get elu na ebe unu ga-ege. Yes, unu nụrụ na Trump threatened Nigeria to stop the genocide against Christianity or he will come in. Then Chinese people are not threat to quite the same thing because of what? Their own personal interest. Mana ya bife kan choka ige n'iru akwụkwọ and ọ ya masị m ka ịtọ ntị ga ya bife dịka ihe gị ya kaparo keri ya tia n'ife anyị wetere n'ụbọchị nkịta. Over to you, sir.
For us that were so delusional now to think China loves you so much, with due respect, China is speaking for its own interests. Out of the 270,000 tons of rare earth oxide, rare earth metals, China mined over close to 13,000 tons from Nigeria. They are the ones shipping our rare earth metals easily away. So if America is talking about strikes in the area where China is mining their rare earth metal, you think China will just look and be saying they should come? So when we are acting like China loves us so much, China is talking about its own interest, or the EU that is talking in our house of board. You think they love you so much? EU that in this country close to 44 billion is going out. There's a particular refinery out of Rotterdam that out of Nigerian crude and everything, they make close to 9 billion. Everybody is talking about their own interest.
China has declared firm support for Nigeria's government, stating it backs the country's right to pursue her own development path suited to national conditions. In a statement on the Chinese embassy's website in Nigeria, China's foreign ministry spokesperson Mao Ning emphasized China's opposition to any country using religion and human rights as excuses to interfere in Nigeria's internal affairs. The response is against US President Donald Trump's recent threats of potential military action in Nigeria over alleged persecution of Christians. China explicitly opposed threatening other countries with sanctions and force, reinforcing her position against such interventions.
On
Trump's threat of military deployment in Nigeria, Mandarin, as Nigeria's comprehensive strategic partner, China firmly supports the Nigerian government in leading its people on the development path suited to its national conditions. China firmly opposes any country using religion and human rights as an excuse to interfere in other countries' internal affairs, and threatening other countries with sanctions and force.
As regards the matter of this America and Nigeria, I see a lot of skewing of narrative. You know, this country, may God save this country. We have now turned the narrative into North versus South, which is not supposed to be. We have now done propaganda to an extent where it's now us versus them. No. Are people dying across every part of the country? Yes. Are Northerners, Southerners dying? Yes. Are Nigerians dying? Yes. Has this government done well at stopping the killings? No, they can do more. Because Trump has talked about it now, then there's been a lot. Like I've always said, we're a sovereign nation. Nobody can come in and invade our country without our say-so. We have seen security forces said, okay, we can get American support. But the question is, how can the problem end, the problem of killing? There's a popular adage from where I come from. They say a man sees a snake, a woman kills it. As long as the snake is dead. Please, let's take this matter out. And for us that were so delusional now to think China loves you so much, with due respect, China is speaking for its own interests. Out of the 270,000 tons of rare earth oxide, rare earth metals, China mined over close to 13,000 tons from Nigeria. They are the ones shipping our rare earth metals easily away. So if America is talking about strikes, which I don't believe, which I just think Trump is bluffing largely, that's about strikes in the area where China is mining their rare earth metal, you think China will just look and be saying they should come? So when we are acting like China loves us so much, China is talking about its own interest, or the EU that is talking in our house of board, you think they love you so much? EU that in this country close to 44 billion is going out. There's a particular refinery out of Rotterdam that out of Nigerian crude and everything, they make close to 9 billion. Everybody's talking about their own interest. But when are we going to have leaders that are in the interest of Nigerians? That's the problem we've always had in this country. Because you can see other countries fighting for their own interests. We are always constantly about the interests of our politicians that steal and exploit us. So it's a very sad dilemma that we are currently facing now. And please, we should not fall for all this love here and there and all of that. But quickly, a point I really want to make that is very important is I believe the Nigerian army can stop this killing. Is it not this same that this our country is a great country? I am so proud to be a Nigerian. This was the same Nigeria that set up the ECOMOG force. Over 70% of the troop of the ECOMOG force was from Nigeria. That worked over 7 years to bring parity and peace back to Liberia and to Sierra Leone. Nigeria expended $15 billion of its money on ECOWAS. As at that time, if you adjust that money from inflation between 1991 to 1997, from 1997 to about 2001, if you adjust that $15 billion for inflation, Nigeria spent in today's money is over $30 billion to restore peace and parity to West African countries. That same country is great enough to solve its own problem. We need leadership.
All right.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, speaking in Berlin, in Germany, with his German counterpart, saying that, look, the Nigerian constitution does not allow religious persecution, and that is the thing that everyone should note. And I think he's right. Section 10 of the 1999 constitution says that there shall be no state religion in any part of this federation that is called Nigeria. Section 38 says, look, as a Nigerian, you have the freedom of thought, conscience, and belief. Section 39 says that you have the freedom of expression. Section 40 says that, look, you can associate with people, freedom of assembly. Section 42 says that there shall be no discrimination against anybody in this environment on the basis of faith, religion, or belief, or circumstances of birth. So it's very right to quote the constitution. But you may then argue that, look, the reality is different. But I get the more important point that Minister Tuga was making, which is that, look, nobody should attempt to turn Nigeria into an equivalent of Sudan, where religion and tribal sentiments, prevail and determine relations within the country. However, the point to make is that religion as well as ethnicity are two of the major principal centrifugal forces in the Nigerian question, at the heart of the national question, often exploited by politicians when it is convenient for them. So, and that is why you find this, impression that, look, religion is a problem in Nigeria, and then the established Western media mind, that, look, Nigeria is divided into north to south. After all, the ACF was here, the leaders, board of trustees, and they were saying, look, those categorizations are not just as exact. However, we face the challenge of the characterization by President Donald Trump. And now we have China coming forward and saying, look, the US should not label Nigeria. We have the EU also supporting, the Nigerian government. Look, the rule in international diplomacy is that is to make friends and to pursue your own interests and to have allies within the international space. China is a major rival of the United States. So we'll be expecting too much if we think that China will take the same position as the United States when it comes to international relations. They're not taking the same position on Russia, Ukraine. It's not the same position on artificial intelligence. It's not even the same position that both countries take in terms of geopolitics. Now, America has tried to push back to say China cannot dictate their foreign policy. But I think it's a good development for Nigeria that we have China speaking up as a friend of Nigeria and saying, look, you cannot dictate to Nigeria as to how Nigeria runs its affairs. And the EU also, showing solidarity. After all, the other day, the EU just, approved some amount for pharmaceuticals, for local production in Nigeria. So it's good to see that Nigeria is not isolated and that there are countries and regions that are willing to speak up against Trump's unilateralism, against Trump's hypocrisy, and Trump's mischaracterization of religious relations in Nigeria. So that's the context of that.
Na Eastern News 24 beba isi were wetara nya bụ nnukwu ozi gbasata maka ya bife na-emenụ ka efi were ikwu gbasata maka ya bife ndị wetara n'ụbọchị nketa n'iru akwụkwọ.